Now the latest ITV News in London.
Tonight, the deception before the attack. How Sudesh, a man, persuaded his mentors he had changed his ways just 3 days before launching an attack in Streatham. 16 and 17-year-olds could be fully jabbed by Christmas under new vaccination plans. Shaming Westminster around the world, politicians step up their criticism of London's latest landmark, and a welcome home fit for royalty. Kai White, the Prince of Peckham, brings back a souvenir. Good evening. In recent days, an inquest into the death of convicted terrorist Sudesh, a man, has heard how he talked openly about wanting to carry out attacks when he was released from prison, which he did on Streatham High Road. Today, though, we learnt about a man's attempts to deceive those tasked with guiding and mentoring him. He told them he had changed his ways and saw the consequences of hurting people. As Sam Holder reports, they believed him.
Sudesh Aman claimed he'd seen the errors of terrorism, that he was a changed man. But here he scopes out the street in Streatham that would be his target. In one shop, he makes a note of where the knives are kept. In another, buys iron brew bottles that he'd use to create a fake suicide bomb. To his two mentors, assigned as part of a Home Office rehabilitation scheme, the convicted terrorist seemed happy, relaxed. He seemed to have renounced his ways. On the 31st of January last year, he told one that he realised people who hurt others, like through terrorism, were pushing people away from the faith and causing hatred. But the next day, Sudesh Aman came here to Streatham and carried out his attack, stabbing random people. His mentors told the inquest they were shocked, gobsmacked, that he was responsible. But the inquest heard there had been comments that raised concern. Sudesh Aman had only been released from prison 10 days earlier after serving time for 16 terror offences. While at this bail hostel, he told one mentor that the day he was arrested, when police put a gun to his chest, was the happiest of his life. He told the other that it wasn't worth planning for his future. While at Belmarsh prison, he refused to engage with the prison psychologist. Previous notes said that because of his traumatic childhood and lack of social skills, he used anger and violence to express himself. Despite police concerns and a request for delay, Aman was automatically released 2/3 of the way through his sentence. He was considered at high risk of committing a terror attack, so high that he was put under 24-hour police surveillance. Although he was being watched by 9 officers, he was still able to carry out his attack, stabbing 2 people before being shot dead. Sam Holder, ITV News.
16 and 17-year-olds will be offered coronavirus jabs in the next few weeks. It's been recommended by scientific advisors from the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation based on new data. The teenagers will not need the consent of their parents to get the vaccine.
There is no time to waste in getting on with this. Now we have the JCVI advice on starting that initial first dose in 16 to 17-year-olds, then I want us to proceed as fast as is practically possible.
So measures there to protect against the virus, but there was also more information for those getting coronavirus. New research suggesting children who become ill rarely experience long-term symptoms, with most recovering within a week. Well, let's speak to one of the scientists behind the report now, Dr. Michael Absood. Welcome, Dr. Absood. So this sounds quite reassuring, doesn't it, for children and their parents?
Yes, our research findings are reassuring for children and families. We found that the median or the midpoint duration of illness was 6 days, but there was a strong correlation with age. So the duration increased with age, and that compared to 11 days compared to adults with COVID. and 4.4% had symptoms beyond 4 weeks, and that compares to 13.3% for adults using the same methods. But then that dropped to 1.8% for those over 8 weeks. Also, the symptom burden also reduced in those with prolonged symptoms from 6 symptoms in the first week down to 2 symptoms after 4 weeks. And when you compare that to the control group that we had in our study, they had a higher symptom burden. Those are children that tested negative for COVID, had other respiratory illnesses.
I'm sorry, we just lost the link there to Dr. Absood, but there we are. He was just telling us that younger children don't feel the consequences of COVID as much as adults. Moving on now, and the families of 5 people killed in the Croydon tram crash have appealed to the High Court for a new inquest into their deaths. Their lawyers claimed there were inadequate and incorrect rulings during the original inquest, in which a jury found that the 7 victims died as a result of an accident. The families are furious that a conclusion of unlawful killing was not reached. The Court of Appeal has ruled that a judge was wrong to describe a scheme that made extra space for pedestrians and cyclists as extreme. The Bishopsgate scheme was introduced in July last year. TfL hoped it would encourage Londoners to walk or cycle and minimise the spread of COVID. Today, 3 appeal justices said there was no proper basis in the previous ruling. Getting headlines in newspapers around the world is the dream of most tourist attractions, but Westminster Council might want to look away. Their £2 million mound at Marble Arch has been widely ridiculed, and now Labour politicians are calling for an independent inquiry to explain why it flopped so spectacularly. Here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
The Marble Arch mound was proving popular today, with pigeons at least. The birds appeared to be feeding off the troubled tourist attraction. And among the handful of visitors, the Davis family from Rayleigh, on a day out, liked what they saw.
I thought it was fantastic. It was beautiful. Another point of view of seeing London, I thought it was. It was fantastic, wasn't it, boys? Yeah.
It's easy to sneer, but for the price of a fancy coffee, you can go and do something that's only going to be here till January, so it's something a bit different.
Westminster Council's attempt to bring visitors back to the West End has cost £2 million, but it's still a building site. The greenery covering the wood and scaffolding hill appears threadbare in places. Some visitors complained the view of Hyde Park was blocked by trees. Labour is demanding an independent inquiry.
This thing shouldn't have opened with bins everywhere, cables everywhere, the inside's not finished, the greenery not done outside. These are sort of basic things that the council should be doing if it's spending millions of pounds of public money.
The mound has generated unflattering headlines around the world. A TV station broadcasting to the Middle East reported on it today. A New York Times headline said Londoners were promised a hill with a view, they got a pile of scaffolding. According to the Irish Times correspondent, it was the worst thing I've ever done in London. And CNN described it, not entirely accurately, as a heap of earth. We asked to speak to someone from the council, but once again we were told no one was available. Instead, we were referred to Westminster's website, which carries an apology, not from the leader, but from the chief executive. Stuart Love said, "We wanted to open the mound in time for the summer holidays, and we did not want to disappoint people who had already booked tickets. We made a mistake, and we apologise to everyone who hasn't had a great experience on their visit."
I think the council are damned if they do and damned if they don't. What I don't want to do is be a curmudgeon. What I want to do is work with the council to encourage more people to come to the West End.
Westminster has now announced anyone booking tickets online will get in free during August. Originally, prices started at £4.50 per person. The Dutch architects behind the project have promised the mound will get better, saying the weather hasn't helped and nature needs to be given time. Simon Harris, ITV News, Marble Arch.
The mother of Bieber Henry and Nicole Smallman has said we must keep saying her daughters' names to remember them and to make a change. Speaking at a vigil in Friant Country Park last night, Mina Smallman said everything she was doing now was for them and for girls everywhere. The sisters were stabbed to death in a random attack last June. Rachel Brown reports.
A moment to reflect. Often the absence of noise can bring some clarity of what we're searching for. This is not just about hope, but also about creating meaningful change. It's been just over a year since sisters Nicole Smallman and Bieber Henry were murdered. That night it was Bieber's birthday. They were dancing in the park, enjoying life. Last night, the sisters' family and friends, politicians and strangers came together.
I see women of colour and people of all different races, and I see men. I see lots of men. And, you know, the thing we must never do is lump any people as one bad thing.
They were both strong women.
Yeah,
you know, they were
strong.
independent.
Nikki was a lot of fun. Live life, love life, and enjoyed themselves, you know, and they had everything to live for, and it was taken away.
It was a chance for people to speak up, hold systems to account, systems that they say let Nicole and Bieber down.
I didn't understand why there wasn't as much outcry as there should have been. Two sisters brutally murdered in a park. The way the police acted, I couldn't believe it. People say to me, how's things going to change and what's going to change? And I actually think that Mina is the conduit of that change.
Racism is still here.
Amen.
Yes. It's just gone underground. It is not just a black thing. It's a every good person thing. It wasn't on front page. Well, we're going to be on front page because I'm only just beginning.
Bieber Henry, Nicole Smallman. They say we must keep saying their names. The family hope to turn their loss into a force of change. Rachel Brown, ITV News.
Still to come on the programme, Sally has the weather, plus a hero's welcome home for our BMX Olympians and cake and a drop of whiskey. How better to celebrate your birthday when you're 108. But first, it's been 10 years since Mark Duggan was shot and killed by police officers in Tottenham. The 29-year-old was travelling in a minicab when it was stopped on the basis of intelligence that he was carrying a gun. His death sparked riots which spread across the capital and then to cities around the country, some of the largest civil unrest we've seen in decades. Well, Stafford Scott, a community organiser, was at a gathering led by Mark Duggan's family in Tottenham in the days following his death. Now at an exhibition at the Institute of Contemporary Arts, which explores oppression and racial injustice, he shared his reflections on what he witnessed and the impact of those nights.
I mean, what I remember graphically is the day that Mark Duggan was slain on the streets of Tottenham. A decision was taken mainly by Simone Wilson, who was the mother of his children, and some of her friends, that they would march or walk to the police station. So a group of about 40 of us walked to Tottenham police station, mainly young women with children. The police officers then came and pulled down the shutters to the police station, effectively sending a message to those that were out there that they weren't going to engage with the protest. It meant that there was unmanned police cars on the route that we were taking to go back to the estates. Some young people lost their control and they attacked those police cars. Those riots in Tottenham began. What we wanted to show here is that, and I guess we're talking to people that we don't generally speak to, we're allowing them to come and see our experience and allowing them to make up their minds for themselves. I'm not sure whether I would describe it as anybody taking advantage of the protest. And on that night, those young people decided that they wasn't having it. I say young people because in that first instance, what I saw, and like I said, I was there right on the spot, it absolutely was young people. I wouldn't be surprised if people from other generations came out and got involved from time to time. So I remember walking Tottenham High Road on the day after those uprisings, and it was like a war zone. It really was like a war zone. But that was a reflection of the anger that people felt. So in terms of whether or not things have changed, if they have changed, I doubt that there's anybody or many people who are going to suggest that things have changed for the better. When people ask, are the ingredients there for this to happen again? Unfortunately, I have to say, they absolutely are there.
Stafford Scott speaking there from the War in a Babylon exhibition at the Institute of Contemporary Arts. To the Tokyo Games now, and it hasn't been the medal flurry we've become accustomed to, but there have been still some great performances from our London athletes. Jodie Williams is through to the final of the 400 metres after an incredible personal best to finish second in her semi-final. The Hertfordshire athlete will run in the final on Friday. And Team GB's youngest diver, Andrea Spendolini-Siriex, eased into the semi-final of the 10-metre platform event. The 16-year-old from London, who is the daughter of First State's star Fred Siriex, qualified in 10th position for tomorrow's semi-final. To those Olympians returning home now, and there were heroes' welcomes all round for our BMX medalists Beth Shriver and Kai White. People lined the streets in Braintree and filled the Prince of Peckham pub in celebration of their amazing achievements. Anton Allen has been to speak to the pair as they reflect on the whirlwind of the last few days.
And the Prince of Peckham makes it.
Oh, it's just nothing but love, and I'm happy that there is so much support in such a small community. With all the love and support that I'm getting from the family and friends and all the BMX kids, yeah, it's great, it's great.
Most of the village came out and said hello to me, and I was able to show everyone my medal and my bike, and it was a very special moment.
Bethany Shriver and Kai White are BMX royalty. Kai had already won a silver medal. When Bethany used all of her energy up to win her gold medal, Kai was trackside to lift her up.
Once energy came back to your legs, at what point did it all sink in, the history that you've made?
I mean, I think it was more like when I got onto my phone and I was seeing all my notifications. I'd already gone up about 20,000 followers on Instagram. The comments I was getting on, like, literally everywhere. I think that's when it was like what has happened? Like, we've just made history.
Beth was 8 years old when she started BMX riding. She hopes her success will inspire more women to join the sport.
Beth, when you first got onto one of these bikes, did you dare to dream that one day you'd have a gold medal around your neck?
To be honest, well, I'd always dreamed of it. I saw Mariana do it 2 times and I was like, oh, like it is like you say, the dream. But you never really believe it until it happens. Right now, I'm still in shock. I still can't believe it.
And how does it feel each time you put it on?
It's honestly insane. Like I said, it's every athlete's dream to get this round your neck, and all the hard work and determination, all the bumps in the road, it was all worth it.
And what would it mean for you if, come Paris, your family are there and you win?
Oh. Honestly, that would be a dream come true, and that would probably trump this win, because to have them there, yeah, that's just something else.
Together, Bethany and Kai aim to break down barriers in their sport and raise the profile of BMX racing.
Both of you are massive role models, so if you were to bring back even more medals from Paris, what would it mean to you both?
Oh, it would mean a lot. Like, we've done so much already, so to do it again, oh my, that would just be insane.
I've had a couple of people on Instagram saying like the kids are just wanting to go ride their bikes now, and people are saying, oh, hopefully they're going to be the next BMX stars and win medals. It's kind of crazy. So I feel that'll be even more better to keep it going on.
And Kai's top tips for future Olympians are:
keep dreaming, train hard, wherever that may be at your training, and have fun.
In 2 weeks, Beth and Kai will compete at the BMX World Championships. They both aim to bring more silverware home. Anton Allen, ITV News.
The ITV News continues at 6:30. Here's a look ahead now with Lucrezia.
More than 1 million more teenagers in the UK are to be offered the COVID jab. All 16 and 17-year-olds will be eligible for the vaccine and they won't need their parents' permission if they want one. We'll have all the details. The big changes coming to the holiday travel traffic light system, and could that include some big destinations like Spain and France? Plus, the sky's the limit for this skateboarding 13-year-old who's the youngest ever Briton to win an Olympic medal. And we'll reveal Meghan's birthday surprise as she celebrates her 40th. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Photos of Holocaust survivors taken by Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge, are going on display at the Imperial War Museum. They're two of 50 contemporary portraits of survivors and their families. The images have been taken to highlight the full lives of the subjects and to ensure their stories stay with us. Martin Stew has more.
Until now, the Duchess of Cambridge's photography skills have been firmly focused on family. Now she's turned her camera and the spotlight onto Holocaust survivors like Yvonne Bernstein, who posed with her granddaughter and a piece of her history.
I brought in my birth certificate with a big J on the front to denote you were Jewish.
Yvonne fled Nazi Germany when she was 2. She didn't see her parents again until she was 8.
My mother burst into tears, of course. When I woke up the next morning, I just didn't open my eyes because I was scared of what I would see.
She posed for the Duchess last year.
We did have good giggles at times. She was totally informal and so very, very kind.
She's very nice. She helped me with my nerves a lot. She actually complimented my hair as well.
Yvonne's is one of 60 portraits taken by a range of photographers.
I am the one in front, the little one.
This photo shows Joan Salter, aged 3, with other children who fled the Nazis. Like Yvonne, she wasn't reunited with her mum and dad for years.
I had no memory of them. It was very traumatic.
Joan hopes the exhibition will reframe the survivors as more than just victims.
It walks with me every day, but it's not, I don't carry it as an anchor around my neck.
It doesn't define you?
No, absolutely.
The pictures are on display at the Imperial War Museum.
You can understand the experience that the Holocaust survivors went through, and then being surrounded by their families and also particular objects that tell the stories, people will really understand what that experience has meant.
John Hadju and his teddy survived living in a Hungarian ghetto and later fled from the Russians.
I give talks to schools regularly, and obviously the first question the kids ask, well, what's the teddy to do with all this? When I escaped from Hungary and came to this country, the only thing I could take with me was a bag of food and the teddy. So the teddy was with me right through my life and is still with me.
Martin Stern is another survivor. Whilst he cheated death in Nazi camps, both of his parents died, and he's determined to keep their stories alive.
You know, it's so easy to say this was long ago. It was in another country. Don't ever assume that nice English people are not susceptible to the same problems.
Martin Stern speaking there in that report from Martin Stew. Sally's here with me now, and Sally, you've got news of another sporting return, one of our Euro 2020 stars.
Yes, so Arsenal's Bukayo Saka, you may remember, was the last player to take and sadly miss a penalty in the Euro finals. Well, he is only 19. Obviously, after that, he was subjected to awful racial abuse. But take a look at these pictures here, because these are from Arsenal, and they have created this wall for him, which is just full of cards, letters and gifts bursting with love and support from his fans. And here's a little bit of his reaction.
He said we'll play football in the park and he'll let me win. Taking this home. Can I just pick it all up and take it home? You can if you want. How do I even say thank you for all of this?
That's great. On to the weather then.
Yeah, did you feel the heat today?
Slightly.
I was actually hot. I tell you, I really was. Right, let's see what it's going to be like tomorrow. Here we go.
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Well, if you missed the sunrise this morning, don't worry, we've got it all here. This was Bushy Park looking gorgeous again with the teenage goslings, and the sky was on fire in Twickenham too. Now, we have a few sunny spells around this evening, hopefully a bit of evening sunshine. Bit of a change tomorrow, things get a bit breezier. There's some showers and some patchy rain around, although it looks like the worst of the rain hitting the UK will be further north. And then Friday into Saturday, the risk of some heavy and perhaps thundery showers. So back to you tonight. Not a bad way to end the day. Like I said, perhaps a bit of sunshine out there for some of you. More cloud moving in though as we go through towards tomorrow morning. That will help stop the temperatures dropping down too much. So maybe a touch milder than it was last night. And tomorrow morning isn't too bad to begin with. It will be a bit cloudier than this morning, but we will then see the breeze picking up as we head through the day and some showers starting to move in late morning, maybe a bit of patchy rain as well. And those will just take the edge off the temperature, so high teens, low 20s if we're lucky. And into the evening, the rest of that front moves through, but like I said, patchy in nature, that rain, and eventually trying to clear, some of it hanging on. And then as we get to Friday and Saturday, that's where we've got the risk of these thundery, perhaps heavy showers, but they are moving through at the moment quite quickly, so the impacts hopefully won't be too bad. Do keep an eye on the forecast. Things starting to ease though into Sunday and more so Monday. That's weather. Here's the pollen.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
So as I've been saying all week, the grass pollen season is coming to an end. There's still some weed pollen around, and look at that, all low over the next few days. That's it. I'll see you later on. Cheerio.
Finally, the secret to a long and happy life: being nice, making people laugh, and a little drop of whiskey every day. That's the advice from Betty Spear, who celebrated her 108th birthday today at her care home in Sutton. And after lockdown celebrations last year, she couldn't have been happier to spend her day surrounded by her loved ones. Rags Martell was invited along to the party.
Happy birthday to you.
108 years young. And now Betty Spears is London's oldest woman. Hi Betty, I just wanted to wish you happy birthday.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be 108?
How does it feel to be 108, Nan? Very good.
And does this birthday feel any different from all the others?
None whatsoever. Nan, this is the letter from the Queen. Oh, my God.
Born in 1913, she's lived through 4 different monarchs. Today she got another birthday card from the Queen.
Oh, wow, look. Look at that.
What's it say?
What does it say, Nan? I'll read it out, Nan. I was pleased to learn that you are celebrating your 108th birthday on the 4th of August 2021. My best wishes to you on such a remarkable achievement, Elizabeth R.
This party different to last year's. Because of COVID restrictions, only one family member was invited to 107th. But even then, everyone at her nursing home still managed to rock on. Does this make it extra special that you can all be here this time round?
It does, yeah. 108's an age to get to, especially the oldest in London and Sutton. So I want to make the most of it. It's nice to have all the family here.
Do you feel 108? How old do you feel?
I don't feel much more than 100.
And even after all these years, a surprise birthday party comes as a shock.
You had a nice surprise when you woke up this morning. I nearly died. Well, no.
So what's the secret to getting to 108?
What's the advice? Drop of whiskey? Just drop of whiskey every day.
The party ended aptly with 3 cheers to the oldest woman in London. Rags Martell, ITV News, Sutton.
Listen to Betty and happy birthday. That's it from us for now. We'll be back with the late update at 10:50. Coming up, Lucrezia with the ITV Evening News. But from me and the rest of the London team, have a lovely evening. Bye for now.